Hello, everybody, and welcome all of you to Unacademy, a place where you can crack your toughest of examinations with top educators, quality content, and not to forget the great learning experience. Therefore, let us crack 9th and 10th examinations with Unacademy with the access to unlimited live and recorded courses from India's best educators. Before I proceed, let me introduce myself. I'm Tasneem and I have completed my Master's and MPhil in English. I have also been certified in TESOL and I have trained 1,000 plus students and I have 8 years of professional teaching experience. Therefore, be rest assured you are in good hands. This video is all about the non-finite verb. The non-finite verb which we discussed in yesterday's video. If you had watched yesterday's video, you would know what a non-finite verb is. And today we will be discussing about the participle. I am going to be taking you through the different types of participles that we have and how they are used and the functions they perform. And by the end of this video, I can assure you that you can easily identify what a participle is. Before I proceed with the participle, let me give you a little insight about what you can expect with Unacademy. Well, Unacademy offers you daily live classes where you can chat with your educator, engage in discussions, ask your doubts, and answer polls all while the class is going on live. Number 2, you have live tests and quizzes where you can evaluate your preparation with our regular mock tests and quizzes. Number 3, you have structured courses, and number 4, you have unlimited access. That is, one subscription gets you the access to all our live and recorded courses to watch from the comfort of any of your device. All you have to do is buy one of the subscriptions and get these free live classes and prepare with top educators and get the comprehensive syllabus of mathematics, social science, Hindi, science, and also English. Well, you can also talk to us on Telegram application. All you have to do is download the Telegram app, type the link in the URL over here, and then click on join. Well, one more thing that you have to do is download or install the Unacademy learning application on your device. And then finally, you will have to buy any one of these courses from number of subscriptions that there are available. Well, this is for class 9, 10th, 11th and 12th. Well, there are a number of subscriptions available. You have it for 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months and 48 months. And each of these subscription comes with a maximum amount of discount. Well, as you go higher, the discount goes higher as well. Well, along with the available discount, you also have additional 10% of discount with the code TA01. That is TA01. So if you were to type the code TA01, well, when you proceed to pay, you get extra additional 10% on the existing discount. That is, for example, let us say if you were to buy a course, a subscription for 12 months, and you already have 50% of discount on this. Along with this 50% of discount, you have additional 10% of discount with the code TA01, which means as opposed to 15,000 rupees, you only have to pay 13,500 rupees after using the code TA01. And for a month, you only will be paying 1,125. Well, what are you waiting for? If you are a 9th grader or a 10th grader or 11th or a 12th grader, go on now, buy the subscription and start preparing for your examinations and crack your examinations with Unacademy. Well, let us now proceed towards today's topic, which is the participle or the participles. Well, what is a participle? Well, the formal definition of the participle is one of the non-finite verbs which functions like an adjective in a sentence. Well, I hope this is not enough. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is not enough. I am going to take you through in detail about what these what a non-finite and finite verb is. Well, about finite and non-finite, yesterday I had recorded a video and it was completely about finite and non-finite, and I had explained you in detail what a finite and a non-finite verb is. Well, I am still going to go ahead and explain even today as well, so pay attention. Let us first establish what is a non-finite, what are finite and non-finite verb. Supposing if I write an example that is, oh, one second, yeah, she is playing tennis. If I were to write this statement, now I want you people to establish the verbs in this statement. Well, we have number one, this, and number two, this. So we have two verbs in this particular statement. Now I want you to change the subject into I. And when you change the subject from she to I, we get I am playing tennis. All right. Now you can see that is has changed itself into am the moment we changed the subject. But then when it is about the verb playing, it has remained intact. Now let us try and change the tense of this statement and let's see what happens. This is in present continuous. Let us change that into past. So we get she was playing tennis. So what has happened to the verbs over here? Is has changed itself into was, whereas playing has remained intact. So this tells us that there are verbs in a statement which change with the change of the subject and with the change of the tense. And there are also verbs which do not get affected by the change of the subject or the tense. Well, they remain intact all through, just like this. Now here, is has changed into am and then into was, but playing has remained intact in all the three stages. So this tells us that is, am, and was are called as finite verbs, whereas playing is our non-finite verb, and this is called as participle. Well, I will take you through the other rules, and before I take you through that, let me tell you there are three types of participles. Number one, present participle. Number two, past participle. And number three, perfect participle. Before I give you a little insight about, before I take you through these participles, let me give you a little insight about the 5 forms of the verbs that we have. Now, supposing if you were to take the verb swim. Now, what is the second form of this verb? The second form is when you add plus s to it. That is swims. Now, there is another form, the third form, which is when you add ing to this verb. And here we have the ing verb. And then comes the past tense of this verb, which is swam. And then we have another form, which is like this, which is called as, oh, one second. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, swam. So here we have swim, swims, swimming, swam, and then we have swam. So you can see that we have 5 forms. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and then number 5. Out of these 5 forms, this is called as present participle, and this is called as past participle. This is called as present participle, and this is called as past participle. Now, all these forms are used in our tenses, but out of these, 2 are called as present and past participles. Well, it's quite easy to get confused between the fourth and the fifth form, where you have the past tense and the past participle. Let me give you another example. That is eat. Eat becomes eats, and then eating, and then the past tense of eat is ate, and the past participle is eaten. And you can see that we have the fourth form, which is the past tense, which is used in simple tenses. And then we have the past participle, that is the fifth form. Now, if we take the example of talk, we get talks and talking, and the past tense is talked, and the past participle is talked. Now here you can see that both the past tense and the past participles are similar, and that is why a lot of confusion happens when it comes to the formation of the tenses and the verbs. So it is imperative that you be aware of the difference between the past tense and the past participle. The fifth form is what we call as past participle. So like I told you earlier, we have three different types of participles. That is present participle, which is the ing form. And then we have the past participle, which is the fifth form. And then we have the perfect participles, which I will tell you about them in a while. But first, let us proceed towards the present participle and try and know what these present participles are and how to identify these present participles and how to differentiate between a present participle and a gerund. Well, I hope you know what a gerund is. If not, stay tuned. Tomorrow's video is going to be on gerund. Therefore, I am going to be explaining you everything about gerund in that video. But today we will learn about present participle. And to give you a little insight about gerund, gerund is also an ing verb. And it is pretty easy to get confused with the present participle because present participle is also an ing verb. Okay, gerund we will leave it for tomorrow. Let us focus on present participle today. And the first statement I have over here is I saw a beautiful doll on the desk. Now here we have an adjective, which is beautiful, and we have a noun here. Well, what is an adjective? Adjective is a word which actually describes a noun or modifies a noun, right? And here we have the word beautiful, which is modifying the doll or describing the noun doll. Now let us try and replace this adjective with an ing verb. And let us remove beautiful and add dancing. Now you can see that dancing is an ing verb. Basically, it is a verb, no doubt over there at all. It is a verb. I saw a dancing doll. But as you go, as you proceed, and as you look, as you analyze this statement, you have a noun, and here the word dancing is actually describing the noun, which makes this verb an adjective. So here, when a verb is functioning like an adjective, we call that as a participle. So you can see that the same function has been performed by dancing, just like the way beautiful is functioning over here. Beautiful is an adjective, no doubt at all. Similarly, dancing is also an adjective, but basically it is a verb, right? Therefore, here dancing, which is basically a verb, is functioning like an adjective, and that is why we call that as participle, but it is in ing form. Do not forget, it is an ing form, and that is why we call that as present participle. Now we can also replace this dancing with other ing verbs like a singing doll, or perhaps laughing doll, or perhaps speaking doll, or smiling doll, or a moving doll. You can see that all these are ing verbs. No doubt, these are ing verbs, but these verbs are describing the noun, right? So when a word describes a noun, we call that as an adjective. Hence, When a verb is functioning like an adjective, it becomes a participle, and because it is an ing verb, we call that as present participle. All right, so that is present participle. Now let us proceed further and learn about the usages of present participle. Number one, present participle is used in a continuous tenses. It is used in continuous tenses. Like, now let us take a look at, well, before I go with the examples, let me tell you how many continuous tenses do we have. We have present, we have past continuous, we have future continuous, and we also have present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and we also have future perfect continuous. So all these tenses use these present participles. Keep that in your mind. All these tenses use present participles. And how do they use? Let us try and analyze that. Now let's take a look over here. She is writing a letter. She is writing a letter, and you can see the existence of ing verb over here. But this ing verb is actually describing the pronoun she, which is the replacement of a noun, of course. So here writing is describing she, hence it is a participle. So we have used writing over here, and this is your present continuous. This is your present continuous, and we have used a present participle here. Number two, Emma was cycling all day. Cycling is your verb and functioning like an adjective, hence it is your participle. And then it is also in past continuous. They will be counting their blessing. So this is our future continuous, and in future continuous we use it with will be, counting, and counting is your verb in ing form, hence it is your adjective, hence it is your participle. All right, so next we have been planning to go on a vacation. We have been planning to go on a vacation. Here you have your ing verb, which is functioning like an adjective again, hence qualifying as your present participle. Similarly, Winnie has been jumping up and down. Has been jumping. Has been jumping. Here again your verb, which is your participle. Ben will have been sleeping by the time you reach. So here you have your verb, which is an ing form, but functioning like an adjective, hence qualifying as our participle. So this gives us the clarity on present participle is used in. So next time when you see a continuous tense, you can without doubt confirm that that is a present participle. You do not have to confuse yourself. You do not have to worry. You do not have to analyze. But then the moment you come across a present continuous or a past continuous or a future continuous or present perfect continuous or any kind of continuous tense, be rest assured that is your present participle. Without doubt, you can proceed and you can say that it is your present participle. Now the next usage is, it is used in front of a noun. Well, the words which are used in front of a noun is called as an adjective, right? Now we are going to use an ing verb over here as our in front of the nouns, which makes these verbs as adjectives. Hence, what does it become? It becomes our present participle. Now let us take a look at the example, that is, the disturbing vision of the accident kept me awake all night. The disturbing vision. Now here vision is your noun, and what do we have in front of the noun? We have disturbing, that this is ing verb, therefore this is our participle. This is our present participle. We have it in front of the noun, qualifying as adjective, but basically a verb, hence that makes it a present participle. Next one is, he jumped off a running bus. Now you can see that bus is a noun and running is your ing verb, but functioning like an adjective, hence it becomes your present participle. All right? So the third example is one inspiring speech. One inspiring speech is all it takes to change one's life. So inspiring speech. Speech is your noun and inspiring is your participle. So if you come across similar statements, if you come across similar format or similar structure of statements, and if you have a noun and in front of that noun, if you have an ing verb, then without doubt you can say that it is your present participle. Trust me, you can say that it is a present participle. The verb, in fact, in front of a noun, especially ing verb in front of a noun, is always a present participle. All right. Now, the next one is when one action follows very quickly after another, done by the same person or thing, we can express the first action with a present participle. That is, now here let us analyze this statement over here. Wearing her shoes, Emily went out. Now here two actions have happened. Number one is wearing the shoes, and then number two, Emily went out. So going out. Two actions have happened done by the same person. To express the first one of the actions, we are using this particular phrase, and this phrase is actually participle phrase. And this entire phrase is giving information about Emily. Therefore, this entire phrase is called as your participle phrase, and your participle over here is definitely wearing, because you can see that it is in your ing form. Hence, this is your present participle. All right. So there you go. Like I told you, when two actions are done at the same time, followed by one another, done by the same person, you can see that Emily is the one who has actually who is wearing her shoes, and then she went out as well. So here, wearing her shoes, Emily went out. So she wears the shoes first, number one, first action, and soon after wearing her shoes, she goes out for jogging, which is the action number two, and Emily is the one doing it. So to express something like this, remember, you need to focus on the explanation that I've given you. When one action follows very quickly after another, done by the same person or thing, we can express the first action with a present participle. You know what? It is actually important that you understand these explanations because it helps you a lot in your communicative English. You know, these are the things that we do not use in our everyday language. But then once you get proficient with all these things, once you understand, and once you come up with your own statements, what I would suggest is, you know, after these explanations, I would suggest that you sit down and you analyze these things word by word and try to come up with your own statements. I'm telling you, start, think, brood, ponder, think about how to come up with your own, statements. And trust me, when you do that, minimum of 7 times, which I've been told, when you practice something for 7 times, I've been told that you never forget it. So do that for like 7 times, and then see how beautifully you can use that in your daily language. You might not see the changes overnight. Do not expect any miraculous change overnight. It has to happen. You will have to be patient, and you will have to give yourself a limited amount of time, and then practice consistently without giving up, and then see the kind of change that you bring about in your English. Like I told you, you know, once you understand this, like I told you, now this is about expressing two different actions followed by one another, right? Try as a homework, try and sit down and try to frame similar statements. Try to frame similar statements, at least minimum of 7 statements, and see how beautifully you will understand this concept. All right, take that as a tiny task from my side and let me know if you really do it tomorrow. That will tell me whether whether you've heard me or not. Now let us proceed. Like I was telling you, let us talk about the usage of present participle. Wearing her shoes, Emily went out. Wearing is our present participle here. Now, the second one is laughing at her joke, he gave her a warm welcome. So he is our subject and he is performing two actions there. That is laughing at her joke. Number one, laughing at her joke, he gave her a warm welcome. So two actions have happened at the same time, one after the other. So to express the first action, we are using a participle phrase, and the participle over here is the ing verb, that is laughing, and hence this qualifies as our present participle. All right? Okay. Now this last one, the next example is fuming at the service provider. She called the customer care. Fuming meaning very angry, but you don't say very angry, but then you say fuming. Fuming at the service provider, she called the customer service. Now this is our first action, and this one is the number two action. Action number two. So fuming at the service provider, she called the customer care. To express the first action, we have used the participle phrase, and here fuming is in ing form, hence this is our present participle. Well, there is one more thing that I want to share, that is about you might have been told by your teachers, and in fact we all have been taught the same thing, stating that the subject always comes in the beginning of the statement, right? But you can see how there is no subject in the beginning of the statement over here. You can see that there is actually a participle phrase. This is the subject, Emily is the subject, he is the subject, and she is the subject over here, but it's not in the beginning. So these are few cases where you need to be, being a 9th grader or a 10th grader, you need to be aware of. If you ask these kind of questions for a 7th grader or a 7th grader and below, they might not be. For them, it is enough to understand that the subject comes in the beginning. But you, being a 9th grader or an 10th grader or an 11th grader, you need to be aware that you will definitely come across statements with phrases like these. And here, this is not your subject. This is only your participle phrase. Subject is, in fact, in the middle. So understand, analyze what's your subject, what are phrases, learn what are phrases, what are clauses, what are subjects, what are verbs. And trust me, after having learned all that, English is going to be the easiest thing that you will be learning. Now, like I told you, these are participle phrases that we have used over here to express two different actions which are done back to back. Next is the present participle can be used instead of a phrase starting with as, since, or because. In this usage, the participle phrase explains the cause or reason for an action, like why something has happened or why the action has happened, answering the question why. Hence, here the participle phrases are actually functioning. The participle phrases are actually functioning like your adverbs, all right? Yes, of course, besides functioning like adjectives, they also function like adverbs as well while they answer the question why. So here, let me take you through the examples. Getting late, she got into the elevator. You could have instead said that as she was getting late. You can also say like this, as she was getting late, she got into the elevator, right? Which is pretty much the same thing that I have told you here. Getting late, she got into the elevator, and as she was getting late, she got into the elevator. But the same thing can be said differently with the help of the phrase. Now, these kind of things, it'll help you when you guys have been asked questions. In your examination, I'm pretty sure you will come across sentences where they ask you to combine the statements. So when they will actually give you two clauses, like as she was getting late is clause number 1, and then they will give you clause number 2. So you are supposed to, in fact, ask You are supposed to, in fact, combine these two phrases and make it as one statement. And in that particular situation, these participles come in handy and they help you in framing one single statement. So this is actually your one single statement, but expressing the same idea without changing the meaning. That's what the whole purpose is about, combining the statements. Combine two different statements or two different clauses and make it as one without changing the meaning. And hence we've done that here like this. Getting late, she got into the elevator, or the replacement of as she was getting late, she got into the elevator. And here it's the reason why she got into the elevator, hence it is our adverb phrase. Next, feeling helpless, she walked in the rain. Why did she walk in the rain? She was feeling helpless. So here feeling is your ing verb, and hence this is your present participle. All right. Similarly, assuming the worst, he called off the wedding. Assuming. Why did he call off the wedding? Because he assumed the worst, therefore he called off the wedding. So assuming the worst, he called off the wedding, and this is our present participle. So participles can also be used as adverbs, like the way we have used in this statement, when they answer the question, why? Now let us go further and understand the usage of participle after the direct object. After the direct object. All right. Now let us analyze the statement. We heard them. This is our subject. This is our verb, and this is our object, right? What did I tell you? Participle after the direct object, right? So what do we have here? We have an ing verb. So this is our present participle. All right, so we can also use an ing verb after the object. Here speaking is describing this object, them, therefore this is our adjective, but basically a verb, of course, therefore present participle, because it is an ing form. So we heard them speaking about the conference. She saw Emma talking. Subject, verb, object, and present participle. All right. She saw Emma talking to the professor. I noticed the book falling off the table. Subject, verb, object, and present participle. All right. Falling. I saw him throwing the ball away from him. Subject, verb, object, and next to the object is our present participle. I saw him throwing the ball away. So throwing, all these ing verbs that you have used over here are your present participles. So it should be easy for you by now to identify. Next time you come across an ing verb, I'm pretty sure you will be able to identify that in a jiffy, and you will be able to say that this is a present participle. Let us now move on to another usage of present participle, that is after conjunctions. After conjunctions. That is, let us take the example. Emily was applauded for delivering an inspirational speech. Now, for is your conjunction. Therefore, we have used an ing verb soon after the conjunction. Therefore, this qualifies as our present participle. Robbie attended a call while driving his car. So while is your conjunction, and we have an ing verb which qualifies as our present participle. Similarly, Winnie falls asleep after barking continuously. So here we have the conjunction, and soon after the conjunction we have the ing verb which qualifies as your present participle. So these are a few usages of present participles, and let me give you a very quick recap. Present participle is actually an ing verb which functions like an adjective and also adverb sometimes. All right, so that's your present participle. Do not forget, present participle is your ing verb which functions like an adjective or an adverb. Now let us move on to the past participle. And the past participle is a verb in its past form. Remember, I showed you the 5 forms that we have. We have 2 tenses. The past tense and the past participle. It's pretty easy to get confused. Do not be confused by the past tense. Do not use the past tense in place of where you are supposed to use a past participle. So past participle is the last form or the 5th form of the verb. Now let us analyze what a past participle is. Let us take this example, that is, I saw a little girl in a corner. Over here, little is our adjective qualifying the noun girl. So girl being noun, the information here, this is our quantitative adjective, which tells about the quantity, speaks about the quantity and noun. So here, this is our adjective. Now let us replace the adjective little into lost, and lost is the past participle over here. I saw a lost girl in a corner. So here, lost has been replaced by the adjective, hence performing the same function as the word little is performing. Hence, this lost, despite being a verb, is describing the noun, therefore qualifying as adjective. Therefore, it becomes our participle, but it is in past form. Therefore, we call it as past participle. Now we can also use other words instead of lost. We can also use scared girl. We can also use a tired girl. We can also use injured girl. We can also use wounded girl. We can also use other verbs in these places, given that they are past. So if they are in past tense, then we call them as past participles. So these are past participles. Next, let me now take you through the usage and the position of the past participle. Number 1, we use past participle in perfect tenses. We have present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. So we use these past participles after has, have, and had in perfect tenses. This is number 1 usage. Like she has left the building. Here, she has left. Has is your auxiliary, or you can also call it as helping verb. But this has been expressed in perfect tense. These are perfect tenses. I hope you know what are tenses. If not, stay tuned. I am going to be recording a video even on tenses as well, and where I'm going to be taking you through each and every tense in detail for you to understand and identify. So perfect tenses are always with has, have, and had. So here, she has left. So this is our past participle. All right. Next is I have finished. Here have expresses the perfect tense, and here finished being in past tense. It is a verb, therefore we call it as past participle. All right. They had eaten their lunch already. So here had is the past tense of have, and eaten is your past participle. Well, if you come across this statement without any hesitation, you can just go ahead and say that when you have perfect tenses, we use a past participle to identify. Once you figure out if it is a perfect tense or not, once you've established that it is a perfect tense, go ahead and confidently say that the verb that comes after has is your past participle. All right. Now the next usage is in a passive voice. I hope you know what are active and passive voices. If not, stay tuned. I am going to be recording a video on that as well. I'm going to take you through the rules and everything in that video. But for now, I'm just going to give you a tiny example for you to understand what is an active and a passive voice. Well, active voice is when, let me write an example. She painted a picture. All right, now here this is our subject. This is our verb, and this is the object. Now, she painted a picture. Now, here she is the subject and she is actually doing the action. Therefore, here the verb is said to be in active voice. So this is active voice. She painted. She is doing the action. In passive voice, if I give you the example of like this, a picture was painted by her. Now, if you take a look at this example, here a picture was painted. So this says that the picture, this is the subject, right? This is the subject, and here the picture is not doing the action, but instead the action is done upon the subject. So this is called as passive voice. So active voice is when the subject is doing the action. Passive voice is when the action is done upon the subject. So I'm not going to take you into the details of active and passive voice. You will have to wait for that video to come where I will be explaining you in detail about active and passive voice. Now let us get back to the past participle, and like I told you, past participle is used in passive voice. So she is liked by everyone. Liked is your past participle. He was being called by the boss. So he is being called is your past participle. Similarly, the work had been completed. Here, completed is your past participle. The work had been completed by them. The house has been painted by Emma. So here, painted is your past participle. So remember, in passive voice, we only use past participle. So you come across a passive voice statement, without hesitation, you can say that it is a past participle. Do not even think twice, because passive voice only uses past participle as the verb. And even in perfect tenses as well. Perfect tenses only use past participles. Therefore, without hesitation, you can say that perfect tenses and passive voices use past participle. Then we use a past participle in front of a noun like this. Now, if you take a look at this example, we have a disturbed thought kept her awake all night. What thought kept her awake? A disturbed thought. Now, this is a verb, right? Disturbed is a verb, but it is in past tense and it is actually describing the noun, which is thought. Therefore, it is functioning like an adjective, right? So this is, well, another question, this is in past tense. Therefore, it is our past participle. All right? So here in this situation, even if you come across a statement like this, and if you have a past verb, past tense verb in front of a noun, without any hesitation, you can go ahead and confidently say that this is a past participle. So if supposing if you have an ing verb, then remember it is your present participle, all right? And if it is in past, then it is your past participle. So if you have statements like this, and if you have a verb in front of a noun, then it becomes your past participle. Similarly, my lost puppy was found in an alley behind my house. My lost puppy was found. Do you see another past participle over here? That is correct. Just a little while ago, I told you that we do use this in a passive voice, right? So found is also your past participle. Well, let us leave that alone. Let's not go there about found. I'm just giving you a little extra information. So coming back to the usage of verbs or participles in front of a noun. Lost puppy. Puppy is your noun, and in front is what we have, our past verb. Therefore, this is our past participle. All right? Hope you are following me. The next one is the view of a risen sun is mesmerizing. Risen is your adjective, but it is a verb. Therefore, it is past participle, and then sun is your noun, right? Then the next one is, this is certainly the most walked path. Path being noun, we have a verb describing it. Therefore, this is Well, it is in past tense, therefore this is your past participle. All right, so there we have another usage of a past participle in front of a noun. Let us now move on to the next one, that is a past participle phrase. Earlier, we learned about the present participle phrase. We can similarly use a past participle phrase as well in a statement that is like this. Lost in her thoughts, she was sitting in a corner. Again, here we are using this to to express two ideas or two actions. Lost in her thoughts, action number one, she was sitting in a corner, number two. And this is our past participle. And because it is a past participle beginning, this is beginning the statement, hence this becomes our participle phrase. So you can also use if you have statements like these, and if you have a participle starting the statement, then definitely it is your past participle. Second one is, driven by her passion, Elsa became a car racer. Driven by her passion, Elsa became a car racer. So driven is our past participle. Next is, inspired by his words, I never gave up. Inspired by his words, I never gave up. So here the word inspired is your past participle, and the whole phrase is your participle phrase. The last one is, motivated by the events, she quit her job. Motivated by the events. Now here motivated is your past participle, and your motivated by the events is your participle phrase. So just like present participle, you can also use past participle phrases as well to combine two different clauses. Be aware how to do that. And next time you see a similar statement, without any hesitation, you can clearly say that this is a past participle. All right. Now let us move on to the perfect participle. Perfect participle. While perfect participle refers to an action completed in past, perfect participle is a combination of having or having been and then past participle. It is always a combination of either having or having been and then past participle. Let me tell you how. Well, having plus participle is used in active voice. I just told you a little while ago what is an active voice, right? Active voice is when the subject is doing the action, and passive voice is when the when the action is done upon the subject. So having and then participle like this. Having, had, this is your having, and this is your, well, you might confuse this with an auxiliary. This is, of course, yes, an auxiliary, but then here we have used it as a main verb. So it is very well functioning like a main verb over here, and it is our past participle. And having been combined with having had, with having, it becomes our perfect participle. All right. Now, what is a perfect participle? Let me explain you that, okay? Let me give you a little insight about how to establish the perfect meaning of perfect action, all right? Now here, let us analyze this. Having had the breakfast, I left for school. Now, don't you see two actions having been mentioned over here? Having had the breakfast, action number one, I left for school, number two. Now, one more thing that you have to focus is both these actions have happened in the past, right? Now the question is, which one happened first and which one happened later? Both have happened in the past, of course, yes. Let us assume now it is evening. Let us talk about, let us say that this action has actually happened in the morning, somewhere around 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. Somewhere around 8 a.m. you had your breakfast, all right? You had your breakfast. And then somewhere around 8:30 a.m. you left for school. But both happened in the past. Both have happened in the past. So to express the older action, we use the perfect tenses and these perfect participles. All right. So remember, when two actions have happened in the past, we use the perfect tenses and the perfect participles to express those actions in past tense. The first one, or the older one, takes the perfect participle, and the later one takes simple past. This is in your simple past, and this is your finite verb. All right, this is not your non-finite verb, this is your finite verb, whereas this is, of course, your non-finite verb. All right, so like I told you, this is your perfect participle. Next one, having imagined the worst, she panicked. Having imagined the worst, she panicked. She imagined something worst first, and then she panicked. Second action. Action number one, action number two. So this happened earlier. So having imagined the worst, she panicked. Having and then past participle combined together, we get the perfect participle. All right? Okay. The last one, having lost his will to live, he hung himself. Having lost his will is the first action, and hung himself is the second action. So to express the first action, we are using the perfect participle like this with the combination of having. Having is actually your be verb, not your main verb. It's your be verb. Having lost his will. Lost is your perfect participle. Combined together, it becomes our perfect participle. So perfect participle is a combination of having and then the past participle. And the combination of having and participle is used in active voice. Now let us go to the next usage, that is the combination of having been and then the past participle. And this is used in passive voice. Remember, passive voice is when the action is done upon the subject. So we use having been and then past participle. Having been called a loser, he fought back. Having been called a loser, he fought back. So having and then been and then called, which is your past participle. Combined together, this is your perfect participle. All right. Yep. Next is again, having been washed, the clothes smelled fragrant. Having been washed, the clothes smelled fragrant. So here you have having and then been and then past participle. Combined together, we call that as perfect participle. Similarly, having been painted, the painting looked breathtaking. Having been painted, the painting looked breathtaking. So having been is your perfect participle. All right. So these are the three participles that we have. Let us take a quick recap of what we have just learned. Well, what is a participle? Participle is a non-finite verb which functions like an adjective, and it doesn't get affected by the change of the subject or the tense. There are three types of participles: present, past, and perfect. Present is an ing form, past is in past form, and perfect is the combination of having and the past tense, like having lost. We have present participles, which are the ing forms, which are used in continuous tenses, all the continuous tenses, and then we use it in front of a noun, and then we use them as participle phrases as well. And then we have the past participle, which are the fifth form or the last form of the verb, which are used in perfect tenses and in passive voices and in phrases, participle phrases as well, and in front of the nouns as well. Finally, we have the perfect participle, which is a combination of having and also having been. Having is used in active voice and having been is used in passive voice along with a past participle. All right. So I am pretty sure that after this, if you have really focused and if you have really paid attention to what I have told you, I can assure you that you will be able to identify the participle in seconds. Well, so that is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to leave your comments because I wait for your comments just to see what you have to say. Do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to hit that bell icon. And most importantly, do not forget to type that code to avail that extra 10% of discount on your subscription. Let's crack CBSE 9th and 10th examination with Unacademy. Do join our Telegram group for the latest updates on our upcoming videos. Until then, see you soon. Bye bye. Have a good day.